when we talk about proclaiming the gospel publicly, there's different ways that we can do that. We might be giving talks, but there's also the ability to do it in dialogue and debate as well. And that's something you've been doing in Norway in the last year. So tell us about some of the events that you've been involved in.
Thank you, Michael. Well, that's right. I mean, we do have a generation now of Christian students in Norway who are dedicated in sharing the Gospels with their fellow students, which is extremely encouraging to see. Obviously, we do have the mission weeks, but next to none of the people that are coming to them. But we do also have the big mission weeks that attracts a lot of people. And Trondheim is one of them. So I was in Trondheim this September and participating in two different events. One of them was a dialogue with a Muslim. So there were two Christians and two Muslims. And we were having a friendly discussion about our faith. That can happen. But what's even more interesting is not the dialogue in and of itself, because the dialogue in and of itself probably doesn't do much work. But what we do in order for it to be possible to sort of build relationships and friendships out of it is that we invite the Muslim audience to join us for a big meal after the dialogue. And for the first 2 years that we did that, around 40 Muslims came along and had dinner with us. And you know how special it is to have dinner with someone and get to know them and get to chat with them and go deeper. So in and of, like the dialogue in and of itself, I mean, it's good to have a dialogue, but it's even more fruitful to have something to invite them to afterwards.
Great.
Which was great.
So a Muslim dialogue leading into a meal, relationships and so on. And then you also did one with the Humanist Society as well?
Well, that was last year.
That was, okay.
So we did sort of the same thing there, inviting the humanists over and then also inviting them to a meal after the dialogue. And
then something you do a lot of in Norway is Guerrilla Christian. Right. So tell us more about that.
Yeah. So Guerrilla Christian is very, very popular in Norway. For a few years ago, we discovered that there is actually a paragraph within the law of education in Norway that commits the teacher into inviting someone to share their religion, their worldview in the classroom. And we figured, hey, let's just invite ourselves to all of the schools in Norway. And so we did. We invited ourselves to all the high schools in the entire country. So by at the beginning of September, all schools have received an invitation from us. So in 2023, last year, we visited 270 schools, causing around 9,500 18-year-olds to hear the gospel through that, which is great. Yeah. We also do ones on mission, and they attract a lot of people. And I reckon it's because people would not like to be preached at. At least in Norway, people feel like if you're being preached to, you're sort of invading their privacy. So they don't want that. But if they get to ask the questions, they would very much like to come. And we had one in Trondheim as well, at the nightclub in Trondheim Center. So they removed the DJ booth and they put us there instead. And then we opened up for questions, and over 400 students came, most of them non-Christians.
Wow.
And just imagine being able to sit in front of a large audience with 400, most of them non-Christian students, and you get the question, you Christian talk a lot about being loved by God. What is that like? Which was one of the questions that we received. So you need to pinch yourself in the arm when you get that on silver plate. So it's very encouraging working with missions in Norway. To balance it out, I must say that we do have missions where there are about 5 or 10 people showing up to the events, but we also do have large events where these kind of things happen. Can I just add one more thing?
Sure.
Thank you. So there is a vast interest in apologetics in Norway, which is good, which is an advantage because we need people that can answer the questions that skeptics has. However, it is a bit of a disadvantage as well because it sort of takes the place of the public proclamation of the gospel. And at the end of the day, it is the gospel that is the power of God unto salvation. And before the Trondheim mission, I had a conversation with my friend Adam Jones, who took me aside one morning in Oxford and said to me, remember, John, keep it about the gospel, keep the gospel in the center of it. And it was such a nice reminder for me. Obviously, it's so obvious, right? But on some occasion, you could just forget what it's all about. It's all about the gospel. And it was so good being adjusted a bit, and that I could pass it on to the group in Trondheim, and we all were very encouraged by that. So apologetic is great, but not let it hinder us from going for preaching the gospel as well. Yeah.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, John. 1 second. Since you were last at Foyer, something else has happened in your life as well. What happened?
Yes, I have a ring on my finger.
Woo!
I guess that was for you. It's not that Portsmouth has promoted to championship.
I was hoping that marriage was the thing that you were going to say, not your football team. But yes, congratulations on that too.
Thank you.
Great. Thanks, John.